So I hope you all know how fabulous you are. Because I get around now. I get, I speak at other churches, and I want to take you on the road because I can't describe to them how well you sing, first of all. And how much enthusiasm you have. And, they don't laugh at my jokes all the time. And I just, I need to have some of you there to support me sometimes. No, they do. They do. I think they're just in shock because there's somebody funny, maybe. I don't know. But such an amazing place. And this is totally off my sermon now, and I'm taking up my time. But I just want you to know, being here is... it just fills my heart. It really is such a wonderful place. And I love coming here and seeing this sort of new class of people rise to be chaplains in service. And, it's a great gift what you all continue to do here. And it is always my spiritual home. So it's great to be here. Okay, so I'm talking about ineffabilities today. Doesn't that sound important? I don't know that that's a word. I made it up. I know. Well, the ineffable is something I can't really tell you. I mean, it's really hard to describe. The ineffable is really something you can't describe. So when you have this sort of experience of God and you just say this ineffable experience, it's beyond words. It's beyond description. So ineffability is sort of this ability to experience that ineffable nature of God. Now, I love my New York Times, always have. And there was this article in the Times a few weeks ago. It was called Reset Your Brain. Hit the reset button on your brain. Anybody read that? One person, good. Okay, so hit the reset button on your brain, and I'm not going to get into the detail of it, but it basically says that we read something or we absorb the equivalent of 174 newspapers a day, which is 5 times as much information as we did in, the mid-'80s. And that the ability of our conscious mind to sort of process that information, not to be confused with the infinite nature of divine consciousness, but kind of actual brass tacks functioning, what we can do, that we're sort of maxed out. We're sort of maxed out. And there's these two sort of parts of our brain. One they call the executive, and they didn't name the other one. They just said it's a daydreamer. So I'm like, what is it, like the slacker? But it's sort of the daydreaming side of our brain. And allegedly, you can't give attention to both at the same time. That's what they say. You truly can't process information in both at the same time. Now, the daydreaming function will work if you sort of completely focus on one thing. But the issue that we are sort of encountering today is we don't really focus on one thing. It's all become about multitasking and having all of these things happen in our lives, and keeping ourselves busy, or just engaging with the busyness of the world. Now, I was sharing with the Rising Chaplain class yesterday that I was kind of waxing melancholy on the days when you used to just walk over and turn on the television and turn the channel like this, and a TV program would come on, and there was nothing else on that screen but the television program. no sort of icon down here and weather alert up here and, I don't know, text in your vote here. And I mean, there is so much going on all the time that we're just bombarded with these little bits of information. And so all this information that's sort of pouring into our conscious mind, what it's getting in the way of is our ability to be creative. Now, logic is a beautiful thing, and I know that we're new thought, and I know that we're metaphysical and all that great stuff, but the basis of our teaching is creative mind. The basis of spiritual life is the creative mind. So it's engaging that creative mind. To engage that creative mind, we sort of have to let that wandering part of our brain have some space. So this article goes on to recommend that you do things like segment your time for Facebook and, schedule your time for reading the newspaper. And that if one of the sort of creative focusing energies is, for instance, gardening, if gardening's your thing, that sort of focus will give way to this sort of daydreaming ability, and that all the things in the world were created as a result of this ability for us to let our minds go, because it's the ability to connect two discordant things. So it's sort of like when you're you have something on the tip of your tongue. Oh my God, it's that guy, and you do this. It's that guy. I can't remember. And you give up. The minute you give up, usually, right then or a few minutes later, you're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Because you finally stopped. Your brain got a chance to make connections between two things and come up with a concept that you didn't know. And this is also the process of revelation for us spiritually. It's giving our minds and our spirits the chance to put things together that we didn't know. This is also the basis of what was started and became in New Thought in terms of the study of metaphysics. Now, here's an interesting little factoid that I read, and I have to admit I found some sort of special delight in it. But it was about sort of the concepts of God and religion and all of these things, and that literalists, like someone who approaches religion literally, I'm not going to name names, but people who approach sort of things literally are operating at a third grade level. Now, I also know that my puppies, did I mention I have new puppies? All right. My puppies operate at a fourth grade level. So what does that tell you? But, I don't mean that judgmentally. I just mean that is sort of the capacity you're using in your consciousness to sort of take on organized religion, certain organized religion in that way. Not all, and I don't mean to be overly categorical. But the thing is that we have to allow this time and space for ourselves to process these metaphysical principles and these greater ideas and these consciousness expanding things. And if we don't, then we won't grow. We won't grow in our understanding. And the problem is, it's not that there's no sort of esoteric meanings and sort of transcendent qualities in all the world's religions, because there are. In the very mystical states of all world religions, there's a very unifying concept of God. There is a very definite harmony that spans those religions, because at the level of the mystic, they speak the same language, and that language is really no language. It really is a place that we can't describe, we can't use words. It's the ineffable. They have that ineffability that spans who they are. Now, why is it that we can't sort of get there? Because we don't have the time. There's not time. The truth is, no one wants to put the time in to move beyond their sort of third grade understanding of their spiritual concepts. And so, it's not that organized religion doesn't try. There were a couple initiatives where the Quran, there were a couple churches in New York City, was read on a Sunday in a multitude of churches to sort of expose them to the beautiful language that's contained within it. And these organizations all got accused of sort of, promoting this agenda of one world religion, and you're taking my faith away, and this is a horrible thing, Don't take me out of my simple understanding of how it works. And also the idea that not only just the Quran was read, but unifying prayer, sort of cross-faith, interfaith initiatives, and Pope Francis, the new Pope, has sort of been on the edge for the Catholic Church of this movement, to the dismay of many Catholics who believe that it's too much. It's too much. It's too liberal. It's too forward. It's too much. It's too much in the way of thinking. Now, we are blessed in our teaching that we are already there. But we're there when we show up on Sunday. But are we there? Are we setting aside the time and taking the time to sort of get busy? Because, and if that's all you need, that's great. But I'm a New Thought minister. I come here and speak on behalf of, I speak for the Lorax. The greatest discoveries in our teaching are really made when we take the time to engage ourselves with the principles that we talk about on Sundays. What are those laws that Rob mentioned today in her talk? What are those laws? What do they mean? How do they work? And if you don't understand them, that's perfect, because now you've just expanded your consciousness and you've made more room. I sort of gave the analogy yesterday to the chaplains about how I used to go hear one of my minister mentors who would say things that, were intriguing, but when I walked out, I couldn't tell you what it meant at all. Don't tell me that that's me. No, that I didn't understand what he meant at all, but that I felt expanded. I felt expanded. And so once consciousness expands, it can't be diminished. If the room is very small, there's not a lot of room for movement, there's not a lot of room for perspective, but as you expand that consciousness, you expand that room, it gives you some room to breathe. It gives you some space to move. It gives you different perspectives because you can change your position and sort of walk around it and look at it. So part of why I'm here when I'm talking about the ineffable today is to encourage you to expand, to take the time. And this is the perfect time as we sort of go into the autumn and we turn within into the winter, the waning of the light. We're not turning away from the light, we're turning inward to our inner light. We're taking that time to sort of focus on study and ask around to people who've been here for a while. Form a study group, get a book club going. Get some people together to talk about this stuff, because we've become incredibly wide. We've become very wide in our sort of being. Because again, with the sort of wish to just turn on the television, think about tens of thousands of years ago when you weren't assaulted. And while I love my New York Times, and I read it on my iPad, when I open it up every day, there's 10 stories on Israel, 10 stories on ISIS, and none of these are not important at all. However, the world, as Friedman says, is flat at this point. The ability to sort of live and let live at this point is getting harder and harder, because we rub shoulders so closely. The world has never been so close. What happens around the world, we know about instantly, whether it's by Facebook, AP News Bulletin, whatever pops up on my phone. We know it quickly. And whether you like it or not, it is being absorbed by you in your consciousness. So I'm not saying to stick your head in a hole like an ostrich. What I am saying is we need to be mindful of our verticality. And I mean that metaphysically. This sort of getting very wide, we've become very wide because there's so much information, there's so much stuff out here. Information, events, cataloging. I have two apps, one that I just love. It's called Save to Pocket. Anybody have Pocket? Thank you. Anybody have Pocket? Pocket's this little thing where if you're reading sort of a website or an article, you can just save to Pocket and it just puts it right in there and forever. It doesn't have to access the website anymore, and it's there. And for those of you that know about my relationship with my junk drawer, this is now my digital junk drawer. I mean, it's where all of my stuff goes, and it's there, and I'm very certain that I need it. And, and so I have to occasionally do this. You know, I really want to write to like the Discovery Channel or TLC about doing like a spiritual hoarders. Seriously, because I could be that information hoarder, you know, where I sort of take these thoughts and ideas and beliefs, and I have the three piles, which is the, you know, throw it away pile, and the give it away pile, and the keeper pile, right? And sort of simplify my life. You know, what are these things I'm carrying around, this crap that I just have with me that I don't need anymore? And what is it that really serves me? And what do I have that I can give away? Because as I give it away, I make more room for good stuff, right? So that's my sort of hoarders aside. But the point is that we are making room. And I promise I'm coming. So the verticality is the concept that we are allowing this connection, because back in ancient times when there weren't all these sort of distractions, you were focused on food, clothing, shelter, and in your spare time, I guess you sang and danced around the fire and made rituals, right, with this higher being. And the prodigal son, sort of the stepchild of the scientific age, has been the loss of transcendence. We don't engage in transcendence anymore. We don't have time for transcendence. And even us who strive to be transcendent, we're trying to find, really, we're using all this scientific information to go, see, quantum physics supports my ideas. You know, see, that's what science is alluding to, is what I believe. Well, enough of that. We need to continue to develop our theories, our ideas, that verticality, and stop getting so wide. We need to step out of our very comfortable comic page approach and get back to it, get back to school. And so I am here to speak on behalf of Spirit. I'm here to speak on behalf of that which can't be described, because Spirit is there waiting for the dance. It's there waiting to dance. And the thing is, wallflowers, Spirit is really not going to come and ask you to dance. You have to get up and make yourself available. Because Spirit's already on the dance floor. Spirit's already dancing. It's over there going, you know. It's like, and, you know, you're over there. Or even better, you know, you need to get off it and get up and join Spirit on the dance floor of creativity and be this vibrant, new thought, growing, plastic, expanding, magnificent thing that you are. So I challenge you to use this fall season and this winter to really get to work, get into it, and enjoy and see and feel the ineffable in your life. Thank you.